kilos on the bar, 2 minutes on the clock for Hannah's second attempt. Stop the clock. Loaders, can we load 41 kilos on the bar for Hannah's second attempt? Jared Young from Rebel Barbell Club to the table, please. Jared Young from Rebel Barbell Club to the table. Cody McGann from Epidemic Weightlifting to the table, please. Cody McGann from Epidemic to the table.
All right, folks, so we are live with the women's 58-kilogram session here at the Praelium, presented by Team Oli Concepts.
At 41 kilos for Hannah's second attempt.
And I am lucky enough to be sitting next to the meet director and the man himself, Danny Camargo. Welcome.
Thank you for being here. It's been a long day.
You've been up since quite early this morning.
Yeah, 5:30. I was here for the first weigh-ins. I was weighing in the first early morning the boys we had at 7 a.m. In fact, I have a lifter now going. She's being coached by one of my assistants. So. Great lockout. She's doing well. She's doing very well. This is her first meet. And so, I think all my athletes have really, they've stepped up today, not only in their performances for those who competed, but, for those who also stayed back and volunteered. Man, that's always the hardest thing to do.
How many volunteers do you have here this weekend?
Every session needs 10 people to run right this weekend. We've got 12 sessions total throughout the weekend. So luckily some of them are repeat. So, roughly about 40 different volunteers.
Wow. And they're all coming up most of them from Orlando, Orlando area?
Mainly from my box. Mm-hmm. And some from the network that I have. Here's another team, Oli Concepts. She's a satellite athlete being coached by one of my satellite coaches down in Boca Raton.
That's a good lift.
That is a good lift for Christina.
Yeah, so I'm glad I had a chance to sit and maybe chat with you a little bit, talk about the event and what's happened so far. We're not quite completely done with the day, but we do have we're just started the second to the last session. Mm-hmm. Then the very last session, which is scheduled to begin at 6.
About a half hour.
Yeah, we're about 30 minutes behind, which for the day that we've had, I think I'm doing well. I'm pretty excited.
Well, really, most of that came from the second session with 20 lifters. You have 20 lifters in a session.
Yeah.
You're going to run long.
Yes.
So this is Hannah's next attempt?
It is. Third attempt. Actually, it should be her third.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how the judges feel about this. We've been working on something, and the viewers at home can see this now. We've been working on that bar continuously moving through the hips. If she slows it down, it could be an issue, especially if it stops. It didn't stop. Good.
I think
should be a good lift if the judges liked it. Should be good.
Now that's something we see with a lot of youth and sometimes junior lifters. They'll have like a hitch or a stop at the barbell. Tell us a little bit about, for the viewers at home who might not be familiar with it, that rule and the continuous motion the bar has to take.
Yeah, so the bar cannot stop at any point. If it slows down, it clearly is not advantageous, but it's not illegal or violates any of the rules. But if the bar stops at any point from the ground to the end position, in the clean it's the shoulders, and the snatch is the overhead position, it's a no lift if the judges see that. So the bar's got to keep moving. It cannot stop at any point. And Hannah was one of my athletes in-house in my gym, and we've been working on that, so I'm glad she was able to repair that. Back in the day, they would refer to that as the Continental. You can pick it up, you could rest it in the waist, sometimes rest it on your belt, and then continue into the shoulder position. But that was many moons ago.
Something you'll still see in strongman competition.
Yeah.
With an axle.
little jump forward at the waist, but it should be a good lift, and it is.
She had that in her first attempt, too. It seems like she gets a little loopy with the bar, but...
Yeah, going back to that whole stoppage of the waist, I think, in my experience, athletes who I struggle with that fault that we have to fix, I think it comes from when they first get to that stage of learning where they are able to make hip contact with the barbell. Now, I don't promote excessive hip contact. I like brushing, some contact, that's fine. If some of my athletes have excessive, usually I let it ride if they can control bar path and what it goes later into the lift. So it really just depends on what the bar does. But I think where that comes from, when people develop the hitch, as you just called it, I think it's just from really focusing too much on hip contact. That's an easy opener.
Very good looking lift, yeah. She's got that all day. So you wouldn't recommend the use of snatch shorts necessarily?
No.
To protect the pelvic region?
No. I prefer we teach it correctly. Now, having said that, we all go through that stage, I think. We go through that phase of development where you start to make hip contact. Now you're hitting the pubic bone, and it hurts. It's very painful. I went through it myself. I wouldn't put a Band-Aid on it. I would just try to adjust the movement and adjust their awareness to kind of fix that and get over it. But we all go through that phase, and it happens once in a while.
Now, you've got a lot of masters lifters lifting tomorrow. We have two national judges here, national referees.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about some of your lifters who are trying to make some American teams and qualifiers in international competitions. Yeah,
the reason that we did that here at the Praelium is the masters community is growing, and it's growing by such a quick an amount, and I've been noticing that over the last few years. I think that's great, and I think I support masters, and I support them so much because we all get that feeling when you start getting involved with Olympic lifting. Man, I wish I would have started when I was younger. and we all do. We all did, and I was blessed that I did. But, not everyone gets the exposure to the lifts, and I don't want anyone out there to feel like it's ever too late. Mm-hmm. So the Masters community is growing. I want to assist them, and so they play by different rules and qualifying for international meets and what have you. And so I brought in the certain amount of judges. I met a criteria and separated the Masters and have their own session tomorrow. So they can meet those qualifications.
Couldn't quite secure it.
That's a no lift for Brianna, but she still has 2 more chances. We're going to tighten up that bar for Carolina, second attempt at 50 kilos. Brianna on deck, Christina in the hole.
That looked like Brianna Lynn's first attempt, correct?
Mm-hmm. I believe so. I
at 50
on
kilos.
The spreadsheet where she's lifting out of.
Yeah, I believe out of the Panhandle. I recognize the coaches, Crestview Barbell.
They've had a lot of folks from Crestview have been turning into the live stream, giving a lot of shout-outs to Crestview lifters.
Yeah, that group is relatively new and doing very, very well.
Speaking of a little bit of extra hip contact there.
Yeah. And that might have, I wouldn't say excessive on that one. Mm-hmm. I'd love to see it again, but I will tell you from that, that observation there, I think it was more of the bar not in the right place, and she had to reach a little bit more with the hips. Mm-hmm. So it looks like an excessive, hips or throwing the bar out with the hips. I don't think she was. I just think she was chasing a little bit with the hips.
Gotcha. For those just tuning in, I'm sitting with meet director and founder of Oli Concepts and Team Oli Concepts, Danny Camargo. If you're enjoying the stream, give it a share, give it a like, and give your favorite lifters a shout out in the comments, because they can go back and watch these videos and see people giving them some love, and I know that'll pump them up quite a bit. Yeah, you don't often see live stream at local meets. I was so glad to have Barben here, and I really appreciate that you guys decided to make the trip and share this weekend with those who couldn't be here. Brianna Lynn going for her second attempt, 50 kilograms. That's much better. Yeah, much better. Shoulders got a little loose on that, but not enough to fail at the lift. That was a good lift. Well, this is you mentioned this is a local meet, Danny, but this is probably one of the biggest and best organized local meets you're ever going to find in the United States. Thank you. I tried, man. I really tried. Well, tell us a little bit about how this came about, because you're in the SoFit Expo, you're in a pretty big conference center and have room for hundreds of people to watch. How did you get roped into this one?
Well, I think I weaseled my way into it is what I did. We'll watch this lift here. Bar still at 50 kilos. That's a way to come back after a miss.
Good work.
Yeah. Very good after a miss to be able to come back. It's not very easy to do so, but this is a local level meet, and a little bit less than a year ago, I was contacted by Ryan Gravelin. He's kind of the meet director of the organizers of the SoFit Expo, and expressed interest in running a weightlifting meet. Great speed on the
easy
bar.
power snap.
Yeah,
for
for
her.
her.
Now she's being coached by Neil
Canterman.
Yeah.
And I've been with Neil for a few years now, and his daughter lifted earlier, and
she did quite well.
Yeah, she did very, very well. Hit meet PR. We had them at Youth Nationals as a group. So he's a satellite coach of mine. He, takes my program. He makes some modifications. I really, really trust him. He's got a great eye, and he's been really, really great with almost every age division, whether it's youth, junior, senior, master. And so we've developed that relationship, and I trust him. So he's running a satellite location in Boca Raton for me.
That's fantastic. How many of those do you have right now? We'll ask after this lift.
Mm-hmm.
Quick.
That's great.
Wow.
Got to make sure you show control.
Yeah.
I think she did a good job of dropping the barbell, but she doubted herself on that. Well,
you got to sell it to the judges.
You got to sell it to the judges. You have to. I mean, they're human, and I believe if they see a lift and they themselves doubt whether or not they may have seen an error, they're going to rule in favor of the athlete. So if you doubt it yourself as the athlete, you sell it, you could sway them. I mean, that's kind of a rule of thumb in the sport. But going back to my satellite program, I mean, I have two others other than my primary location. I'm opening 3 more in the Orlando area, all through my partnership with 1EW. They are local functional fitness gym that I've linked up with. And then have agreed to allow me to run all of my Oli Concepts programs through all of their locations throughout Central Florida.
All right, we have the 3rd attempt coming up for Brianna Lind. You hate to see a miss behind like that.
Yeah, absolutely. She seemed so aggressive to the pull, but I noticed on her first pull, from ground to the knees, it was a little slower than the previous attempts she had. It looked like she kind of maintained one speed to about the knees and then just threw on 100 miles an hour after that. I think it was a very sudden change in gears, and that could have affected the control of the bar and the overhead, as opposed to picking up and having a steady acceleration from ground to the overhead position.
Now, when people talk about Team Oli Concepts, you have satellite gyms, you have some really cool partnerships that you've developed in the past year. How many members strong is your team right now?
Currently 112 athletes under the Oli Concepts names.
And about half of them are here this weekend.
And 44 of them are here. Very strong. Yeah, very strong. I'm really blessed. I just have accumulated throughout the years people who just, really enjoyed Olympic lifting and have chosen to follow my philosophies and want to be a part of the way that I do things in my team. I don't actively recruit, but I certainly don't say no when someone wants to contact me and be involved, and I'm just really, really blessed. Oh, man, maybe rushed standing up a little bit. Could have sat at the bottom a little longer and stabilized. She's just so fast getting under. I think that's very impressive.
Plenty of strength, plenty of speed. So when you talk about your coaching philosophy, what are some of the tenets of that? Obviously, when people talk about coaching philosophies, they think of Phil Jackson, he's the Zen master, or they think of Bill Belichick, the mad scientist, or the grumpy cat, whatever you want to call him. What does the Danny Camargo coaching philosophy boil down to?
Well, that's so tough to answer because I can't quite answer just in one sentence or one word, because there's so many layers to this sport, so many layers and levels to what we do. I mean, you've got program philosophy, you've got the spirit of what we do, coaching tactics, and so there's so many different aspects. But I will say that if I can summarize it in as few words as possible, I think for me it's athletes come first, and that's just how I've always been. As a coach, and I think that I've been that way because of the coaches I had. I had two wonderful coaches, my developmental, who found me and taught me everything and developed me from scratch to an elite junior lifter. And then the Olympic Training Center program in Colorado Springs was a very big program when I was a young boy, so they picked me up. I lived there for 4 years, and the national coach at that time was my secondary coach, and both just, I held them in such high regard, and I've kind of just emulate that now as a coach. I noticed on that one, I wanted to say it before she took that lift. I think her setup was a little different than the first two. I think the setup, she was a little bit too far back on her heels. Her shins looked a little bit more vertical than the previous. If she had that setup in the first two, I probably wouldn't have noticed. But since the first two looked different, I was a little worried that this lift might have put her at risk of failing just by the setup alone.
Well, she's on the board. She has one attempt, her opener, so she can still total today.
Oh, yeah, day's not over for her.
Now, you mentioned you were a 4-year resident of the FTC.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people listening in, whether they're listening live and watching live or coming back and listening to the archives later, know that that program is ending.
It is.
It's ending in
this next month.
Yeah, in about a couple weeks.
Breaks my heart. So close.
Just a little out of position. What was your first reaction when you heard that news?
Oh, so sad. I can't say that I was completely shocked or surprised. So I think that because I saw it coming and I had conversations with those closer to the program, that the end was near. But it was still sad, and it's because my fondest memories in my athletic career, my weightlifting career, were there. Those my stomping grounds, so to speak. And I was sad to see it go. I understand why it went. And the plus to that is USAW is now no longer going to have this centralized format to the sport and delivering the sport to the nation. They're going to decentralize everything. And so they're going to invest in athletes a little bit more with the money that they're saving. They're going to invest in programs, maybe set up regional training centers around the country, though that's not final. I know that that's what they're discussing. That's on the table. So instead of having one location where all of their money goes to, they're going to split that up a little bit and help fund, whether it's coaches, athletes at elite levels, wherever they're located. So there'll be several training centers. And I think that it's new. It's new for me. I haven't seen it. I've been involved in sports since I was a young boy. I'm 26 years now involved in sport in some way, so I've not seen it. I don't know the success of it, but it's still exciting to see if that works.
All right, we have Jennifer coming up for her next attempt. Much better.
Yeah, that's a good comeback from a miss.
So do you think American weightlifting can have success with a
Absolutely.
decentralized program?
Absolutely. I'm going to give you two reasons why. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, being involved in the sport as long as I have been. Those reasons are, one, the pool of athletes is growing in the sport of Olympic lifting here in the United States. So when you have a larger pool of athletes to choose from, the chances of having elite, athletes and athlete selection, I think increases for us. So I think that's going to help us competitively internationally. The second is, have you seen all of the drug positives that have been hitting the news everywhere?
It's a never-ending stream of them.
And it seems that way. And, I'm just going to tell you right now, I've experienced it firsthand as an athlete. It's not always an even playing field, but it might be evening out a little bit for us. We're just a clean country. It's just our philosophy. It's our culture. Mm-hmm. And so I think those two elements, it still may take a couple of years, but I think the future's extremely bright for the sport of weightlifting. We have Melissa Villanueva here for her first attempt, 60 kilos. I know Melissa fairly well over the last several years. Her brother's actually a member of my team, and I've seen her and her brother come up over the last several years in the sport. Melissa's lifting in a higher weight class than she normally does. It's a local meet. We said that earlier, and so she must have some agenda to her reasoning to be here, whether it's qualifying for something or just trying to get some platform time. So the stress was less for her, and she chose to just move up and not worry about cutting weight at all.
Well, the strength is definitely there. I mean, it's just a little out of position.
Yeah.
And we're up above body weight for all the women in this weight class. So pretty small session, only 9 lifters, but so far some good lifting and a lot more yet to come. So let's talk a little bit about, you were just going back to a lot of the drug positives that the IWF has released and announced over the past several months, even as recently as this week, 15 new positives from Beijing.
Yeah.
Meaning that the Chinese national team is going to be sanctioned most likely for a year. So pretty much probably from October this year to October next year is what people are thinking.
Yeah, and they're one of the most dominant countries in the sport of weightlifting.
But with China out, Kazakhstan out, Russia out over the course of the next year, that opens the playing field significantly at international competitions like Junior Worlds.
Absolutely. And you can see how American lifters are getting closer and closer to the podium the last couple of years without those drug positives. So imagine now. I mean, I think we can see more success. I think it's good for the sport. Let's just face it. The truth is, American culture says we want to tune in to medal winners. And so when I'm asked why the sport isn't aired on TV more frequently, it's because, we're not winning as many medals as other sports, say, like gymnastics or track and field. It's Melissa's second attempt. Looks like she went up to 62 kilos, so she may have been just buying more time.
There we go.
Yeah.
She's got a great catch position there.
Yeah, she's too experienced to have 2 misses like that in a row. So first one, something must have been off in her form or her comfort, but she definitely made up for it. No reason she went up. Now I see why she went up on her second attempt.
So let's talk about going into the next season. I want to talk about junior lifters in USA weightlifting. Mm-hmm. Who should we really be looking out for at not only national but international, thinking like Junior Worlds competitions for the next year?
No, I can't. We can't have this discussion without talking about C.J. Cummings or Harrison Morris.
You say getting close to the podium, but he
already had it.
He already
got it this year. Wow, that was just amazing. I was so excited and fired up, not only for him and his coach Ray, but really for our country. We needed that, honestly.
That's 2 Junior World Champions for Ray, right? Over his career? Is it not?
I don't believe so.
No, that's his first. Never mind.
Yeah, I would go with his. That's his first. Now he is connected with Team Savannah, and they did have a Junior World team member, Oscar Chaplin. Yep. A decade ago, a little bit more than a decade ago.
It was earlier than a decade ago.
That might be what you were.
Late 90s, early 2000s. That's probably what I'm thinking of. His connection with Oscar. Well, I mean, so CJ probably, depending on what weight class he ends up in next year. Yeah,
he's growing. He's a growing boy. We can't forget that. He's, even without the sport, his age, he's just growing. He's a growing boy, and I don't know what weight class he's going to be. Right now, no matter what weight class he's going to be, and I think he can dominate anything.
Okay, so him aside, Harrison Morris is another lifter you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. See, on the girls' side, I'm not really sure. We have definitely a ton of talent, coming up. Some out of Florida. Definitely some out of the West Coast. Oh, I didn't see that coming. I thought that was
like a good lift off the ground.
Great lift. Great solid pull off the ground. She's coached by Brian Seacrest out of Vero Beach. For those who may not know, that's between Daytona Beach, Cocoa Beach, and South Florida, Fort Lauderdale. So it's about halfway in between on the Atlantic side. Brian Seacrest has been around quite a while. Successful weightlifter himself, but has produced, some really good youth athletes, junior athletes.
We had a few, I think 4 or 5 people from Vero Beach weightlifting watching on the stream earlier. So shout out to those folks, and leave a comment if you are from Vero Beach. I want to give them a little support.
Dan, was this correct? Someone approached me midday today while I was running around crazy trying to organize everything. That we had how many viewers at one point today? The highest amount we had?
Well, we had it's a little different. The viewers at once, you have people coming in and out, but the first video we had starting at 9 a.m. today, when we closed that, it had over 2,000 views.
Yeah,
and it's since ticked well over 3,000.
Great, is that
fantastic?
Is that something you guys were pleased with? I mean, I don't really follow live stream too much. I'm usually the one coaching it. So,
well, I'll tell you about that after this lift. There we go.
Yeah, that was better.
So I tell people have asked us that. And this is only the second event we've live streamed. We did the RVA Open last month in Richmond. Jake Rowell, the meet director, put on a fantastic meet as well, and local meet and invitational. And over the course of that weekend, we had about 100,000 views over all of those videos. This weekend, I think I'm not really sure. It's too early to tell.
Yeah.
But for me, just the fact that people get to watch weightlifting for free online, and watch events that they might otherwise not be able to, and watch up-and-coming lifters, not just folks who are already at that elite level, that's something that makes me happy. So the fact that anyone's tuning in is something I'm happy about. But we're still pretty new in the game, so I don't necessarily have any metrics where I'm like, oh, that's what we have to hit.
Correct.
For us, we just want to provide a good experience. And just show the lifting. 2,000
sounds like a lot to me. So I hope we get more, especially tomorrow,
Oh, yeah. I think Sunday it's going to take up. People are barbecuing, chilling out, want to watch some weightlifting. The best thing we heard in Virginia was last month on the Sunday we were live streaming. Someone commented on the stream and they said, look, I'm sitting out my back porch, or I'm chilling on my back porch. I have an outdoor TV. I'm grilling steaks and I'm watching weightlifting. And I'm like, you know what? If we can be a little part of something like that,
I think that's good.
I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, that's great. This is Melissa Villanueva's third attempt.
Missed her first behind. Second, she nailed it. Let's see if she can come out and stick this 65. Yeah. So she's normally a 53-kilo lifter, you said?
That's correct. Okay. I spent a lot of time as a 48, actually. Oh, wow. So this is the third weight class in her career that I see her compete in. 32 seconds left on the clock. By the way, that's plenty of time, though it doesn't seem like it when you're the lifter. That's a shame.
I thought, she looked so good on the previous attempt.
Absolutely.
Now, when you're coaching a lifter at a meet, are you making all the decisions for them?
Yes, I am calling all the shots, and depending on the athletes, especially those who I trust more, in consultation with them.
Okay.
And many people may not know that. So I am the one making the decision because, you got to tell the announcer or the scores table what your intentions are. So I'm the one making those moves. But, athletes who are experienced, those who I really, really trust because they are realistic athletes, they trust, they have shown awareness. Then I do ask them, hey, what would you like? I kind of get a feel and get some feedback, and don't control every aspect. I actually get their guidance on it. Beginners tend to not really know, so I'll make 100% of the shots there. That was a solid comeback for Sofia.
Good work. Folks, if you have any questions for meet director Danny Camargo, you can let us know now on the live stream. We're taking comments, actually, and can answer those live. We're getting a lot of nice shout-outs. Brittany Drury says, nice, Lena. Yanira Alvarez-Ortiz says, yeah, baby, talking about Lena, I believe. Shout-outs for the Red Line ladies. A lot of Red Line weightlifting shout-outs here.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I believe we have up now Nicole Fisher.
Oh, and we have someone watching from Ireland. It says, great lifting. Awesome to see the international viewers on there.
Good reach.
If you're an international viewer, let us know where you're watching from, or domestic.
Great attack.
Great lift. And folks, if you have any questions for Danny Camargo, he's a busy guy this weekend. We might have him for a few more minutes. May get him for a little bit of time tomorrow, but if you have questions for him, please let us know. We can look at the comments and answer those live. I'm sure he'd love, Danny's a nice guy. He loves spreading the word about weightlifting. I'm sure would love to answer any and all questions you have within reason.
Yeah, thank you. In fact, I just wrapped up the snatch portion, which is the only time I have. So thank you for letting me sit down. Actually, as much as I love to talk about the sport and love to see what's going on here, because I've seen your setup, but I've been so busy I haven't been able to sit long enough to check it out. It actually gave me an excuse to sit down.
Excellent.
So thank you. Thank you very much, and I appreciate all the viewers that are at home right now watching. We got clean and jerks coming up. I'm going to say my goodbyes for now. One session left after that, and then it's bedtime because I got to come back tomorrow morning by 6:30 a.m.
Well, Danny, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And we will be right here. We're not going to cut out the stream, so we're just going to mute the mics for about the 5 to 10 minutes it takes between the two portions. But stick around, folks. Plenty of great lifting left with these 58-kilogram women. Hey folks, if you're still watching, we are about to begin the clean and jerk portion of the women's 58 kilogram session. There was a little break between the snatch and clean and jerk, so we went on mute for a little bit, but I'm back. This is David Tao with Barbin, and I'm joined by a special guest right after this lift.
And sorry about that break, guys, but I am Robert Hill. Competed a little bit earlier today.
We're going to go with automatic increase for her. Second attempt, 49 kilos, 2 minutes on the clock for her.
Now, Robert, tell us about where you're from and how the competition went for you today.
All right, so I'm a part of Team Elite Concepts out of Orlando. So I'm coached by Danny Camargo, which I believe that you had commentating a little bit earlier today. Today was a little bit rougher than I wanted to. I only went 2 for 6, which is less than what I desired, but it's all right. It's local meet. It's all about having fun. So I'm out there. It's some heavier lifts than what I had in the past, and just kind of had fun with it.
Excellent. I mean, that's what's important here, and local meet, you get a mix of people going after national qualifying totals, but also people in their first competition.
Right. Absolutely.
So good mix. So up next we have Hannah Spruill, who's going for her second attempt clean and jerk. The loaders have had a busy day today. We've got them very busy. That second session today, the youth girls, 20 lifters. 20
lifters. And the fact they got that done in, close to 2 hours was pretty awesome.
I mean, we're technically running a little bit behind, but that is a remarkable achievement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Given the number of lifters here.
It's good now towards the end of the day. I think this upcoming session only has like 6 or so. So by the end of the day, we should be all caught up. Should end pretty well.
Bars loaded at 52 kilos for Hannah's second attempt, 1 minute, 32 seconds on the clock.
So as we're waiting for Hannah Spruill to come take her second clean and jerk attempt, tell me a little bit about how you got involved with Team Elite Concepts. Did you lift before that, or did you start lifting under Danny's tutelage?
I got started weightlifting through, as many people, CrossFit, and started CrossFit around 2012, and then about 2 or so years into CrossFit, I did a local meet under nobody, actually. And,
under your own coaching?
Under my own coaching, yeah, which I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. Realized I had qualified for Youth Nationals at the time. And coincidentally enough, about a month later, I went up to Danny's gym for the USA Weightlifting Level 1 certification class. And he and I had never met before. However, since I was 16 at the time, I'll pause for a second for this lift.
Yeah, second attempt.
All right, I assume she's going to repeat that. But yeah, so I was emailing him back and forth because I wasn't sure due to my age whether I was even allowed to get the certification, but ended up going through. I went up there, did the certification, and he and I talked back and forth. And by the end of the weekend, I told him I really don't have a coach, but I'd love to be under your team at the time, which was Altamont Weightlifting, Team Florida Altamont. And I became a satellite lifter for him, and kind of since then never looked back. Dropped the whole CrossFit thing. It's funny, a teammate of mine, we're preparing for Youth Nationals. I told her, I was like, no, I'm pretty much just like doing this through Youth Nationals. I'm going to go back to CrossFit. She goes, you're not going to go back to CrossFit.
it's too exhausting.
Yeah. And I was like, no, seriously. She goes, okay, talk to me in 6 months. And sure enough, I never went back to CrossFit.
Well, we have Hannah Spruill coming out for her third clean and jerk attempt. And folks, if you like the stream, if you enjoy watching this lifting, plenty of good lifting to come, go ahead and give it a like. Comment to shout out your favorite lifters. Tell us where you're watching from. We've had a few people watching from Australia, Ireland. Samuel Galagos is watching all the way from North Dakota. We'd love to hear where you're watching from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Easy power clean for Hannah. Much better lift.
There we go. Much better with the lockout.
And a running hug.
62 kilos, the lifter is Brianna for her first attempt. Christina on deck, Carolina in the hole.
So next up we have Brianna Lind, who's lifting out of Crestview Barbell Club. I know there are a lot of Crestview Barbell folks watching the live stream, so if you're cheering for Brianna, give her a shout out, give her a comment on the live stream, because the lifters can actually, lifters like Robert sitting next to me right now, can actually go back tonight. It's already archived on Facebook and YouTube. They can watch their lifting and they can see who was watching, commenting, liking it, giving them shout outs, giving them some good luck. So pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's a great feature that Barbend has done, and you know, you guys have done a great job with it so far.
Well, thank you. We're still a lot of room to mess up, believe me.
Still got some time for that. Always do.
62 kilos on the bar for Brianna's first attempt from Crestview Barbell Club.
Alina Horton saying, go Brianna. Wendy Littleton is asking when Masters is. The Masters sessions are tomorrow. So we start with Masters Women at 9 a.m. and then Masters Men at 10:30 a.m. So thanks for the question, Wendy. Here's Brianna Lind, opening at 62 kilograms. Oh, great
Solid
jerk.
lift.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is a good lift for Brianna at 62 kilos. Let's sign up that bar for Christina's first attempt at 62.
All right. And Christina is actually a satellite lifter for our team. We have a program down in South Florida who is a satellite gym for Team OC.
Oh, excellent. I think they're going to call her for that.
Yeah.
3 reds.
She'll come back and make that.
And folks, if you like what you're seeing, go ahead and give it a share. If you share this post, it's actually going to be fed to more potential or existing fans of weightlifting. Who knows? You might convert someone to become a weightlifting fan just by sharing the live stream. So go ahead and do that if you get the chance today.
It's always great to see these local meets getting bigger and bigger every time you do it. When I first started, my first local meet was, I believe there was maybe 25 competitors.
Oh man!
And
wow.
you know, here we have 152, I believe, and it was capped at that, and had an additional 40 or 50 on a wait list.
Yeah.
So this is great to see.
I was talking to one of the officials who runs the Baltimore Open, and he said it sold out in 33 minutes.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Unbelievable.
I mean, it's a great sign for the sport, and obviously the influx of talent and interest, and hopefully cash to help fund these through local meets and other things to help fund these local weightlifting clubs. And that's vital to the growth of the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. And that all gets funded all back to the FWF, which in turn goes back to the athletes. So every time you guys do that, all comes back and helps all of you local lifters out. So
well, tell us a little bit about the FWF and your involvement in it.
So I'm on the Florida Weightlifting Federation board, and we are in charge of Florida Weightlifting, which primarily, you know, our biggest event, so to speak, is the Florida State Championships that are held in Port Orange, and November 5th and 6th, I believe it is that weekend.
Okay.
And we've done it every year. Last year we had, let me pause for this lift real quick.
That's a better lift. Better. 3 whites. Way to come out and stick the jerk.
Absolutely. Yeah, so last year we had about 247 athletes, I believe, and it was a 2-day meet, 3 platforms. This year we're looking to, you know, really ramp up the notoriety of it, so to speak, make it a really national level meet feel to it. So we have some cool things in store for you guys. So if any of you know local lifters, the qualification totals are posted on the Florida Weightlifting Federation website, which is very simply floridaweightliftingfederation.com. If you guys qualify for that meet, please go ahead and sign up. It's going to be a very awesome meet. We have some really cool things in store for you guys.
And as we're talking about that, I want to say we have a lot of viewers right now from the Florida weightlifting community. If you're tuning in, these athletes just love it if you give them a shout out on the stream. So comment, like, share, maybe even some heart emojis if you like it that much. Those are my favorite. Three whites.
Yep.
So of all the places I've been in the U.S., Florida has one of the most vibrant, if not the most vibrant, weightlifting community.
Yeah.
Robert, why do you think that is?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it has something to do with I don't know, simply population of the state, and I think it goes back to also. I feel like we have a pretty large CrossFit community down here as well, and more so we are getting those CrossFit athletes that are say, you know what, screw it, let me do a local meet, which is, in my opinion, the best way to get into the sport. There's nothing wrong with dual athletes that do both. But yeah, between us and California, I would absolutely say that we have the largest population of lifters and of international lifters at that. But even then, it's still great to see the Florida weightlifting continue to grow more so than it already is.
All right, we have a lifter with just 15 seconds left on the clock.
Final 10.
Down to the wire here. Can she get the lift off in time? Just in the nick of time.
2 seconds to go. Another
Great
solid
job.
lockout, though. For those of you at home who don't know, the clock, you must pass the knees with the bar by the time the clock runs out. The lift does not have to be completed by the end of the clock. So as long as the bar passes the knees, as soon as that clock strikes 0, you are good to go.
And she cut it almost as close as you can cut it on that one.
Very close.
All right, Christina's final attempt here. 65 kilograms. Pressed out her first one. Second one, she should carry it overhead with locked arms. Let's see if she can repeat that here.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the right call.
Yeah, absolutely.
Denise Rutherford saying, go Christina. Christina's getting a lot of support, got a lot of support today. That'll end her day. She does post a total, so that's always
Most
good.
important part, absolutely.
Yep.
You know, also, it's really great to see the biggest session at this meet were the youth men and women. You know, the youth women had 20 lifters in that session, as we were talking about earlier this morning. It's great to see the youth division getting bigger and bigger also at each one of these meets.
Well, Youth Nationals had over 700 lifters.
It's unbelievable.
This past summer. It's crazy.
Unbelievable.
Breaks. All right. Oh, wow.
Another
Okay.
good lockout.
Bit of a struggle on the clean, but hey, she came through. That's what's important. Denise Rutherford cheering for her park lifters. Alina Horton cheering for Brianna.
We're going to actually go 68 kilos on the bar for Tiffany's first attempt.
All right, so we have the first attempt of Tiffany Parler coming out. She's a 58-kilo weightlifter, just like everyone else in this session, from Team Redline. So I know there are a lot of Team Redline folks watching the stream today and giving shout-outs. So if you're rooting for Team Redline, give us a like or give us a comment and just to show you care and are watching along. These lifters appreciate it. So Robert, after Tiffany takes her lift, I want to talk to you specifically a little bit about some of your goals for the sport in the near and long term.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, almost too much power.
Yeah, absolutely. Very quick off the floor, though. So yeah, I'm a last year junior this year, so you know, most importantly, we'll see where my weight class takes me. Currently, I'm at 77, but I'm getting close to the moving up.
So we have Jennifer Collins coming out for her attempt, 68 kilograms. Jennifer Collins. Oh, just like nothing.
That was my first attempt to look like that.
Okay, split decision, but she gets it.
Yeah. So yeah, 2017 Junior Nationals will be my last junior meet. I really would like to qualify for AO this year. However, with them increasing it by 25, 27 kilos for the 77 class, it made things a bit more difficult. So, in a perfect world, I'd love to do that by the end of October. If not, always next year for sure. But I definitely make 2017. Every national meet that comes around, have it be eligible to compete and hit those qualifying totals. However, it'd be really nice if people stopped getting so strong.
Competition's definitely increasing.
Absolutely. Senior qual total is now 274 for 74 or 77. Excuse me.
Go, knees out. Get up. Get up. Deep breath.
A good workout.
That takes some grit to make a jerk after a
Yeah,
tough clean.
absolutely. She did a good job stopping those elbows from touching the knees, because it was a very close fight on that.
All right. Tiffany Parler about to come on for her second attempt. Her first attempt, she power cleaned it and just kind of bounced right off of her chest.
I really would say she needs to, she's very big with her hips, so to speak. The bar did get away from her a little bit, but just as you said, the power off the floor is just unbelievable. So I don't foresee her having an issue with this clean. She just controls that power that she has.
We have Wendy Littleton cheering for Team Redline in Lena. We have Lauren Bezier cheering for Team Redline in CrossFit 1401. Alicia Sorrentino says, "Come on, Tiff," cheering for Tiffany. Come on, Tiffany.
Let's go. Finish.
You got it. Come on.
It looked like she just kind of threw herself under that one.
Yeah,
I was hoping that would work.
Absolutely. Between the jerk phase, I'm not sure how experienced she is with competition. However, on the dip phase of that jerk, you really want to kind of control the dip and explode out. And it looked very jerky, so to speak. Quick dip, quick drive, and that creates some lack of contact with the bar on the jerks.
All right, so we have Brianna coming up for her last attempt. Brianna Lind out of Crestview Barbell. This is her third and final attempt, 70 kilos. A lot of folks cheering for her on the live stream. Let's see how she can do on this lift.
I believe this is her third attempt.
I like that clean.
Yeah, very vertical.
Her first two jerks were so good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. She'll finish with her second clean and jerk being credited. Good work on the day by Brianna Lind.
Final attempt from Team Redline. Let's make some noise for Team Redline.
All right, let's go. She needs this to stay in the competition.
Must make situation for Tiffany.
Let's go, Tiffany. As usual, quick speed off the ground.
Best clean she's had
Absolutely.
so far.
Best catch. Oh, where was that?
No doubt about that
Not
one.
even a little bit. At
Good
that
job.
note, let's give her a fourth attempt at 100.
Yeah, come on, Tiffany. Wow. Oh, sorry, I wasn't warmed up yet. Wow, that was great. It's awesome to watch a lifter come out and just nail a do or die attempt.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those really are. That's as an athlete, that's when you really grow. The sport is such a mental game, more so than a lot of other team-based sports.
I can think of a few other sports where the mental factor, individual sports where the mental factor
absolutely.
makes such a difference. Oh.
I don't know if they're going to give it to her. Yeah.
Now, Robert, what are some of the best tips you've learned from? We'll talk about Danny a little since he was on. That you've learned from Danny about the mental aspects of weightlifting.
Yeah. So that's definitely I've realized as I became a bit more experienced in the sport, one of the largest aspects, and it's one of those things where it's extremely hard to coach. You can always develop a lifter's strength or technique, but to develop a lifter's mental capacity is very difficult. Some lifters are really able to dial in, so to speak, in those do or die moments that we were just talking about, and pull out a lift. And some of them are the complete opposite, where they kind of freeze up, so to speak, and kind of let the moment get to them too much. One thing I've learned since being there is, you really try not to let the moment affect you too much, in the sense of it's always good to have that anxiety, that adrenaline rush. However, you don't want it to affect you to the point where it messes up the technique that you've become so accustomed to. So, you treat a do-or-die moment just like a first attempt. You know what to do. You've done it multiple times. A lot of these lifters have done it thousands of times, for that matter. Just gotta get it out. You gotta really be confident in yourself, confident in your lifting.
All right, we got Jennifer Collins coming out. Final attempt. She's an unattached lifter, but seems to have plenty of fans.
Absolutely.
Okay, solid clean.
Yeah.
She said you could tell from her face, too.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the other thing that I love about the weightlifting community is no matter whether you know the lifter or not, everybody is very more than happy to get behind everyone in a do-or-die situation, and always ready to cheer someone on when they need it most.
So we have Safina Williams coming up for her first attempt. She lifts out of Team 14 weightlifting. So Safina Williams of Team 14 weightlifting.
I believe Team 14, that is just north of Tampa.
If you're cheering for Safina or Team 14, give them a shout out in the comments. I'm sure she'd love to go back and read it, and we'll give you a shout out in the comments as well. So while we're waiting for Safina to come up for her first clean and jerk attempt, Robert, you watched the Olympics.
I did.
What was your favorite session?
Well, being a 77, it's kind of hard to not say the 77s, especially seeing Rahimov hit that unbelievably easy clean and jerk on his second attempt.
Which is not without its controversy, because was he stable with his feet under him? I don't know if you've seen the side view, but...
I have not seen the side view.
Yeah. I'll show it to you after this. It's interesting. I like that clean a lot from Safina.
Easy.
All right. Just like clockwork.
We're going to load 80 kilos on the bar for Melissa's first attempt. Nicole on deck, Safina in the hole.
That 77 kilogram session was, 2 world records broken. No, 2. Just the total.
Correct.
Wasn't broken. That's right. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. In addition to the possible controversy as to whether his feet were continuing to move or not. Like I said, I haven't seen that yet, but I've also heard around the circuit, so to speak, of he originally lifted for blanking. Azerbaijan, and got popped for stands and all, I believe, viewers, if I'm wrong, please correct me.
No, I think he was coming back from a suspension.
Which he incurred in 2013. Here we have Melissa Villanueva with her opening clean and jerk. Good legs out of the hole.
Yeah, God. Now she normally lifts as a 50. Melissa normally lifts as a 53-kilo lifter. She's up for this competition.
Correct.
The lifter is going to be Nicole for her first attempt at 80. Safina on deck. Melissa in the hole.
Yeah, Ramov was his first big competition back from his suspension was the World Championships last year, which he won.
Yeah, which and it's fine to see not only come back from a suspension, but you also renounce citizenship and switch countries as well, which definitely adds another interesting factor to it. We'll say.
Not without its controversy, I'll say that. Not without its controversy.
Wow. Yeah, these 50s love their power cleans. Wow. Great lift. She is out of Vero Beach weightlifting.
Yeah, Nicole Fisher. Strong ladies in this session.
Absolutely. Her coach, Brian Seacrest, he's actually another board member on the Florida Weightlifting Federation. And he has a great program down on the east coast of Florida.
Relatively new program.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Within the past couple years, I believe. But that he's definitely not without his successes as his international lifter in his own of Jason Boddick, who will be competing tomorrow in the 94 class, I believe.
All right, here's Melissa going for her second clean and jerk attempt, following herself. Oh no, not following herself. Sorry, there's a lifter in between. She missed her. She has that wide grip jerk, and she missed it on the first time. Just couldn't quite get her head through. So let's see how this goes for her.
Let's go, Mel.
Cleans no problem.
Yep.
Come on, legs. Drive through. Let's
She
go.
has to get low.
Oh, got about as low as you can go on
It's a
that.
little too low.
She still has one more chance to hit that. We are going to tighten up
And this is one of these moments that we were just talking about, guys, these do or die situations. And Melissa's a very experienced lifter in her own, so she knows what to do.
Only one. If she makes this, she'll be 2 for 6 on the day. So maybe not the day she was hoping for.
Yep.
But it's always better to post a total
Absolutely.
than to not post a total.
Yes, definitely. At least with that, you can come away with some sort of win, for that matter.
Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts on, have you gotten to poke your head into some of the other venues in the SoFit Expo today?
I've been able to walk through the CrossFit venue. I haven't been able to watch anything, but they've done a very nice job setting all this up. I've not seen the strongman or powerlifting sections. However, like I said, the setup that they have is pretty extensive, and it's pretty well devised. For the most part, a little bit more signage I think would do it justice a little bit better. It's kind of hard to know that the weightlifting area is back here, so to speak.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it's a great addition to the weightlifting circuit.
I think it is awesome having this setup with the warm-up room actually separate.
Yeah, absolutely.
From the lifting platform.
Yeah, much more national meet like. Let's pause for a second for Melissa's final attempt.
Come on, Melissa.
Again, strong legs.
Another good clean by Melissa.
And there we
Took her on a ride, but she makes it.
There goes back to that experience we were talking about, folks.
Let's load 83 kilos on the bar for
She knew what to do. She took the lift, same approach as the other two. The cleans were identical.
All right, we have Safina Williams, again from Team 14 Weightlifting, coming on for her second attempt at 83 kilograms in the clean and jerk. I really liked her first lift. I thought it looked very technically sound.
Yes,
Bars go
absolutely.
to 83 kilos for Safina's second attempt.
Solid jerk.
All right. That'll count.
Now, while we have a second, why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about Barbend and what you guys are all about?
Well, thank you. That's that's the easiest segue I've had. Well, yeah, Barbend.com was launched in late March of this year, so only about 5 months old, actually. We are a resource for all things strength sports. So strongman, powerlifting, weightlifting, functional fitness. We write news, analysis, opinion editorials, all sorts of stuff, and we publish new content every day.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed about you guys, that you do an unbelievably excellent job at it, is you really stay on top of everything weightlifting, so to speak, and just as you said, other power sports.
Thank you.
For a second.
Yep.
Tight dip. Let's do it. Tight.
Looks like she got a little lightheaded on that one. She's okay, though. She's going to
Okay,
walk
she's
it
all
off.
right, everyone. Let's give her a round of applause. That was a great attempt for Nicole. She still has one more chance. We're going to tighten up that bar.
I always hate to see a lift
Safina's
almost wasted
final
by
attempt
that.
At 84 kilos.
Happens to the best of us, though.
Yeah, so we publish stuff pretty much every day on, like I said, if it's in strength sports, if it's news, if it's entertainment, if it's opinion, more and more training advice from some really cool thought leaders in the space.
For Nicole's final attempt.
And we have everyone
1 minute on the
contributing
clock, 84
from
kilos on the bar.
Christmas Abbott to Artie Drexler,
Okay, let's load
the
the bar
former
at 85
head of
kilos
USA
for
Weightlifting.
Safina's final attempt.
We've had about, so far, around 50 different contributors to the site.
That's awesome. Yeah,
It's been fantastic.
that's great. And it's the first time I've got a chance to formally sit down with you guys, which is great. But every day when I'm on social media, you guys are very on top of everything that's going on.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
We're, like I said, we're still young, but I'm really excited to see where the second half of 2016 takes us.
Yes, absolutely. And viewers, if any of you guys have not yet liked Barbend, go ahead and do that. As a lifter, I definitely agree that it's a great resource.
All right, Safina Williams, third clean and jerk attempt. 2 solid attempts before this. That was an arm rebend.
Yeah.
She caught the clean a little out of position.
Yeah.
Was able to compensate, which is impressive.
Yeah, right, absolutely. And, that forward on the cleans, to be able to reset in between the clean and the jerk, that's definitely a skill for some that it's, again, difficult to develop.
Some people like me never develop it.
Yeah. Let's talk about you, though, as far as personally weightlifting. How'd you get into it?
Well, I got into weightlifting after a pretty bad rugby injury. So I was a D1 rugby player. Played for Harvard University and blew out my ACL and patella at the same time. So that's if anyone's ever done that, an ACL is one thing, but not having a knee,
do both.
Doing both is pretty rough. Came back from that. Was having a lot of trouble just honestly walking and moving, and I had an orthopedist who was really far ahead of his time and told me to find some weightlifters. Okay. And said they'll teach you how to squat and how to try and move again. And so I found. I'd
like to meet that doctor.
He was pretty far ahead of his time. I found what became, it was becoming at the time, the Norwood Training Center right outside of Boston.
Okay.
And had coaches like Benjamin Fuller, who was a very good youth super heavyweight and junior super heavyweight lifter. Dennis Reno, who's one of the most storied weightlifting coaches in American history. Yasha Khan, quite a good lifter and coach in his own right. And some of those guys basically took me under their wing and and taught me some of the ropes, and mostly, more important than anything else, helped me rehab my leg, which I'm forever thankful for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that kind of sparked my interest. And
now, do you compete too, or is it mostly just a training aspect?
I haven't competed in a long time. I do co-own a gym in New York, CrossFit Union Square.
Okay.
We have a great weightlifting program there, so I am still training 3 or 4 times a week.
Great speed under the bar. Again.
It's getting light. Oh.
Okay, let's give her a round of applause. Those are great attempts.
She's walking off. She's good.
That's the most important part.
She was the last lifter of this session.
All right, folks.
We're
Well,
going to announce the lifters for
what
the
that
next
means
session,
is this session
and
is
then
officially over.
We will hand out awards.
And so we have about 10 minutes before our final session of the day, which is the women's 63 kilo category. What we're going to do now is we are going to cut the stream. But before we do, I want to say a huge thank you to Robert Hill, who joined me.
Absolutely.
Robert, thank you so much for giving your insight, your commentary, and answering some questions. Hope to have you on again.
Yep, sounds good.
Awesome. For Barbend, I'm David Tao, and thank you so much.